With Regulation F coming back into the main format, there are a lot of new dragon types and a lot of old dragon types that have a new fresh shade of color. So we're going to be going through just a few that I think could be really good in this upcoming Regulation F part of the 2026 season. Welcome everybody to another Pokemon VGC video. It's me, Ketsu, and today we're going to be talking about the best, at least in my opinion, the best dragon types of the upcoming Regulation F season. So there are quite a few dragons that are coming back out in the format. Of course, dragon is one of the best typings in the game, and of course there are a lot of good dragon types that we've already had back in the previous Regulation H, and there's going to be some new ones. So for new players that are coming into the format that haven't played Regulation F before, or people that are just getting a refresher just to see like what are we including back again, what was like the main sets to go for dragon types, this video is exactly for you. So we're going to be starting off with Archaludon. I think Archaludon is a very good jump here because it was one of the more dominant dragon types back in Regulation H, so it makes more sense that we touch on this right now. We're going to be getting on the mons that we're used to seeing, the dragon types that we're used to seeing back in Reg H, and we're going to move on into the new mons later down the video, so stay tuned, you don't want to miss the new ones. But for the most part, I think Archaludon is more or less going to stay the same. Assault Vest Archaludon has just been always well. Rain is still a very dominant team here because of course you still have things like Pelipper, which is still pretty good. It's pretty much your only weather setter here because of course no restricteds, which means no Kyogre. We also get things like Tornadus that can set up the rain manually. We also get things like Urshifu that can also do really well in the rain. So we've got a lot of good factors coming in here. So we've got a lot of good Pokemon that can help us for the rain here. But of course, Archaludon being one of the staples in rain, and of course the main dragon type that we look for in the rain as well. And of course, you've got that Terra Fairy as well. Fairy typing, just an amazing typing in general, the best typing in the game in my opinion. But it's also really good in this regulation because you have quite a few Pokemon here that can help you a lot. Again, dragon typings being a lot more dominant, fairy typings help a lot with that. Floodamane being everywhere, so of course fairy typings are going to be like all over the place. Things like Urshifu as well, you're going to want to counter. Incineroar is going to be more popular than ever. It's nice to get a nice fairy type active here. So fairy typing I think is a good one here for Archaludon. You can also do things like Terra Grass, which could be really cool for this set. We've seen a few things in the past. Well, Terra Water could also be pretty good, but the main two that you normally see is either Terra Fairy or Terra Grass. It's either one of those going around for you. But for the main moveset, it doesn't really change from what we've seen from Archaludon before. Electro Shot, Body Press, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, pretty much the same standard stuff here. You can't really complain too much about it. It's the main standard set that you would originally see with Assault Vest Archaludon, and I do think Power Herb would have a lot more of a benefit in this one. We've seen a lot more of Power Herb here. I think Power Herb is just really good. Sturdy being an amazing ability for it because again, close combat or something like an Urshifu won't one-shot it, and it basically just gives it a death sentence because you might not even need to go for a Power Herb Electro Shot into an Urshifu that does close combat. You could just hit a Dragon Pulse, and that might potentially, depending on how the EVs are done, could potentially get rid of an Urshifu on a -1. It could still be a pretty dominant force here, but of course you do have the Electro Shots, you've got the Protect as well to keep you safe. Again, going back into the Urshifu, Surging Strikes won't KO you because of, you know, that Dragon typing, and the Steel typing is just neutral damage, and you're quite bulky as it is anyway. So you've got these really nice factors here for Archaludon as well. So I feel like Power Herb is a pretty useful set to come up here. There's not a lot of Pokemon that can one-shot Archaludon, so the fact that the ones that do, you have Sturdy to kind of help you there for it, I think is quite a nice tech to put in here. So I would expect to see a lot more of Power Herb Archaludon if Archaludon was to pop up in Reg F. But yeah, I think that this is a pretty... I think this still can hold its own for Regulation F, for the most part anyway. So the next one I want to talk about is Dragonite. So again, Dragonite was just an absolute dominant force, the best dragon type that we had in Reg H. So going back into Reg F, we have a little bit of a different way for Dragonite here. So normally we're used to seeing, you know, like a max speed, somewhat max attack. Dragonite going, you know, Scale Shot, Tailwind, Haze, Protect, or swap out one of those moves for an extreme speed, things like that. But now we're kind of seeing a complete flip on Dragonite. We're seeing the Choice Band Dragonite with the Inner Focus going into Terra Normal. The main set that you would usually see here is Extreme Speed, Outrage, Ice Spinner, Stomping Tantrum. But of course, if you're rocking Rillaboom in your team, you're taking out that Ice Spinner, putting in something like an Iron Head. Iron Head is also a really good move there as well. So this is a lot more of an aggressive Dragonite. Inner Focus being able to steer clear of flinches from Incineroar and steering clear of fake outs as well. So you could just get going like immediately straight off the gate. You don't have to waste Terra Ghost, don't have to waste a turn for Protect. You could just get going like almost immediately. So I think that is really good here. And of course, the main reason is for Qianpao. Qianpao also being back. Again, it's not a dragon type, but this is the main reason why we see that transition from Dragonite being this really bulky, multi-scale shot user to being a really, you know, quick hitting, extreme speed, Terra Normal, you know, blitz force, just because of Qianpao. It's solely because of Qianpao. Normally you would see this paired up with things like an Entei as well. You'd see this paired up with Dragonite, Qianpao, Entei. It's kind of like this crazy, super aggressive priority call. Both Entei and Dragonite have an extreme speed and just going at it. But for the most part, you would just see Dragonite just getting used for most of the time here. With the Choice Band set, with the Inner Focus, you wouldn't really normally see multi-scale. I think just because of how slow Dragonite is, you know, Chien Pao not only being accessible to you, but also to your opponent. Some Chien Paos can, you know, just easily one-shot Dragonite. Multi-scale doesn't really matter too much for the most part. So yeah, so it goes more towards the Inner Focus to get this going like straight out of the gate, so you can just make things a bit easier for your Dragonite to do a lot more damage than what you think. Now, the next two dragons I want to talk about is Latias and Latios. We're going to talk about Latios first, Latios being the more aggressive one of the two, but both of them do have their own type of role to fulfill inside, you know, most teams. So Latios being a dragon and psychic type is pretty nice. It's a pretty offensive typing. It's you know, pretty solid. You can get rid of things like Amoonguss, you can go toe-to-toe with things like Raging Bolt. You also resist Raging Bolt as well. You're faster than Raging Bolt, so you get a whole lot of good moves out. You've also got a really good ability in Levitate, which I think is just, again, a really good ability to have, because again, you can go into something that can resist fairy typings because you're still weak to fairy, something like Steel, Fire, or Poison. All three of them are weak to ground, but of course with that Levitate, you are no longer weak to ground, which is, I think, is just really, really cool here. So you can switch up the Terras a little bit here. You can go to, like I said before, Terra Fire, Terra Steel, Terra Poison, anything to resist fairy, because again, Flood Domain's all over the place. You can go into something like a Terra Normal to stay clear of ghosts. You can go to something like Terra Dark to stay clear of dark types and ghost types as well. You've got all these really nice factors here for Latios, so I think this is kind of good for an offensive piece. I think it's quite nice. But of course, the main sets that you'd get here is Luster Purge and Draco Meteor. You can tech in a Tailwind because Latios is pretty fast. The base 110, you put that all the way up into max, and that can get you to 178. That is a really, really good speed. That's on par with Ogerpon as well. And of course, as we've seen, Ogerpon is just a really good Pokemon as well. Like, this thing can go really, really quickly as well. It's got a lot of a good moveset, but for the most part, you would normally see Luster Purge or Draco Meteor as well. You can technically put on an Icy Wind, which is the other set we're looking at here. You can put on an Icy Wind to make sure your opponent's team goes a bit slower, get that nice speed control if Tailwind is not something that you want to get going straight away, if you want to apply nice damage here. But yeah, I think with the Soul Dew as well, being able to boost up your Dragon and Psychic moves as well, Luster Purge just hits crazy, crazy hard, especially with that 50% chance to lower the special defense. This thing can hit really, really hard, and I'm quite a fan of Latios being here. I think this is a very, very good one. But going into the Latias, this one is more of a supportive move pool here. Latias being, you know, a lot more bulkier, around the same speed as well. It's, again, same thing with Latios. Latios has higher special attack, but Latios has, Latios has higher special attack, and Latias has higher special defense. So again, you've kind of got these nice things going here. You can try and make a little bit of a tech to get the defense up, or you could just, you know, start racking up a little bit more points in the defense, because again, that is the lower point of it, and things like Sucker Punch of Chien Pao or Knockoff of Incineroar is a little bit dicey for the most part. But outside of that, there's not really much things that you're looking at here. So again, both these two I feel like can have a really, really good, you know, play out in the format here. Latias, like we mentioned earlier, is a lot more of the supportive one. It's got things like Tailwind. Again, the Icy Wind can help a lot well too. You've got things like Recover. You've got Psych Up in case you want to be, you know, really crazy and hit that niche. You've got things like Substitute. You've got a lot of these really good options, really good supportive options to make you kind of, you know, go a little bit more crazy with this. So I think Latias can actually have a really nice build here, and honestly, I don't mind Latias. I think Latias is a really good supportive role here. I don't personally think Latias won't be that bad. I think Latias can have a really, really good supportive moveset here, especially if you buff off on the defensive side. This thing can be really, really good. This thing can be really, really insane. You can also pair it with something like his safety goggles to make sure it stays clear of something like a Amoonguss. Of course, things like Mist Ball is really good as well. Latios, with the Luster Purge being able to lower down special defense, but Latias lowering down special attack with the Mist Ball as well. So it's, again, it's a really nice supportive piece, because then anything like a Flood Domain, you just hit it with the Mist Ball, starts dropping down, starts getting weaker. All of these special attackers here as well. While we don't have a lot of you know, meta special attackers, Mist Ball can still do really good and still lock it down pretty nicely here, because again, you've got things like Flood Domain still here, Blood Moon Ursa Luna. You know, it can do something to Tornadus if it doesn't have a Covert Cloak. You can do things to, let's say, for example, Walking Wake, of course, Raging Bolt. You've got a lot of good special attackers here in the format, so I think Mist Ball can work really well for this. And speaking of Raging Bolt, it's, of course, Raging Bolt is going to be, I think Raging Bolt is pretty much the best dragon that we have in the format. Like, Raging Bolt is just so good. Its bulk is insane, its special attack is absolutely nuts, and it's just got a lot of different tools you can go for here. So you can go for the Assault Vest set, which is something that we've seen previously in the past. You can run something like Terra Fairy. Terra Fairy is just a really good thing for the mirror matchup against other Raging Bolt. Electro Web, Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, and Draco Meteor, that's kind of like the main set here. Or you can go the other way and go into a Snarl to knock down other special attackers as well, like we've seen with the Flood Domain, minions and things like that we mentioned before. Just a nice way to chip them down slowly, which I think is, again, a really, really good play to go for as well. The Raging Bolt is just absolutely insane. You've got the booster energy, so if you want to get like an extra surge of, you know, special attack damage, you can go for that too. This thing just becomes an absolute force of nature. Thunderbolt, Thunderclap, Dragon Pulse, and Protect, because you don't need Draco Meteor, because you want to keep that Proto boost, you want to keep the special attack up as high as humanly possible. So yeah, you could just keep this thing going with booster energy and just keep hitting these Dragon Pulses, and this thing is just absolutely nuts. This thing is absolutely insane here. You can go for the Life Orb set if you really want, you know, that extra surge, but that way you can go for Draco Meteor instead. That way you can do Draco Meteor with the Life Orb, switch out freely, come back in, and not have to worry about, you know, losing your Proto boost or, you know, losing your item or anything like that. You could just keep hitting these Dracos, switching out, coming back in later in the game, and then hitting them again. I think it's just a really good, you know, play to go for Raging Bolt. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And of course, we have the final set, which is becoming a lot more of the popular set, which is the Leftovers Calm Mind set. This set, I believe, actually won the last Victory Road tournament. At the time of this recording, it won the last Victory Road tournament, which I might cover. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, this one did actually win the Victory Road tournament that happened at the time of this recording this past weekend, which is absolutely great. Protect, Thunderclap, Calm Mind, and Dragon Pulse. So again, because this thing is so bulky, you can set up a Calm Mind, let this thing, you know, go off like crazy, especially when you get the healing both off Leftovers, and if you pair it up with something like a Rillaboom, this thing gains a lot of HP really, really quickly and becomes a lot more of a problem. Like, one Calm Mind is already enough to start changing the game in your favor, yet alone getting it twice. If you get it twice, then this thing becomes like public enemy #1. This thing is absolutely insane. I think Raging Bolt is just probably going to be one of the best mons in the format. Like, it counters Urshifu really well because of Thunderclap. It does really solid damage after a Calm Mind onto things like Incineroar and Rillaboom. You can take like a few shots off of a Fluttermane if it doesn't boost up with like choice specs or Proto boost special attack or things like a Calm Mind. It can take damage really well off a Fluttermane. It can do a lot of good stuff here. So I think that Raging Bolt is just going to be the best dragon. I think it's honestly going to be the best dragon that we have in the format. This thing is going to be nuts. So going on to its Paradox Brethren, we have Roaring Moon as well. Roaring Moon, I don't think is going to be as excelling as Raging Bolt because there's a few things that you got to do for Roaring Moon. But I think in terms of a more offensive supportive piece, Roaring Moon can be really, really good here. So the main set that we usually see here is the Booster Energy, Terra Flying, Acrobatics, Breaking Swipe, Protect, and Tailwind. You can change Breaking Swipe to something like a knockoff that that way you've got like that good stab on Dark type moves, which is just probably the better option here. In my opinion, I would probably take Knockoff over Breaking Swipe, but of course, if you're more obsessed with these physical attackers like the big three, Shifu, Incineroar, Rillaboom, things like other Roaring Moon, you've got, what's other good physical attackers here? You've got the other Urshifu, things like Ursaluna maybe. You've got all of these really good physical attackers that's just like becoming like so much of an issue. Because this is very much a physical attacking format. Like, again, the big three is all over the place and things like that. This is very much a physical attacking format. So I think Roaring Moon does have a really good way of having Breaking Swipe, but at the same time, Knockoff is also just really good too. Acrobatics being able to double damage, and then, you know, going into Terra Flying as well. And then Tailwind has that nice tech there because this thing can get really fast, especially with that booster energy too. There is one more set as well with Roaring Moon, which is the Dragon Dance set. This is what we saw back in the early stages of the first Regulation F going into Dragon Dance. That way, yeah, you get the booster energy. You can go for booster energy speed, but then you can also go for booster energy attack. You can go for other things as well, like you know, maybe a safety goggles or things like that. Covert Cloak maybe. You can go for Dragon Dance, get that +1 speed, get that +1 attack, and then just start going absolutely ballistic with these attacks. Like, this thing can go absolutely crazy strong, like really, really quickly. So yeah, if you leave Roaring Moon unchecked, this thing can become a problem really, really fast. But I think Roaring Moon, one of the better candidates for the new Reg F, but I think there's a few little things lacking. But again, if you can make it work, this thing can be an absolute, you know, dominant species. And finally, is the last mon that I want to touch on is Regidrago. I think Regidrago is fantastic. It's my personal favorite Regi. I love Regidrago. But yeah, I think Regidrago is also just a fantastic mon to include here because we've seen it a lot on the Iron Crown Indeedee team, the Side Spam team with Indeedee Iron Crown. That was just a really good mon to put in as well because, of course, anything that Regidrago is weak to, Iron Crown can take it over, especially if it gets that boost energy speed. It can do really well. But Regidrago is just an absolute brute force as well. You've got the Terra Steel, anything that can stay clear of fairies, Terra Steel, Terra Poison. Sometimes you might see something like a Terra Water, I believe. Just any good defensive Terra for Regidrago is just absolutely fantastic because, again, you want to conserve that Dragon Energy because you want to conserve that. You want to conserve the HP as much as you can for Dragon Energy to do a lot of damage. Draco Meteor is still a good one as well, and of course Protect and Terra Blast. That's like the main set that you kind of see for Regidrago here. Two really big Dragon type moves, one Protect, and then just a Terra Blast of just basically whatever you want to get rid of. If there's a Steel type bothering you, you've got Terra Ground. If fairy types are bothering you, it's Terra Steel. If you want to stay clear of, you know, other Pokemon that's like really threatening to you, like things like Landorus, you've got Terra Blast Water. Just basically whatever it is that can like fit in that last piece of the puzzle, Regidrago pretty much takes it. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think Regidrago is honestly pretty cool. It does get access to things like Earth Power as well, which is quite useful. But I think honestly Regidrago can be like an absolute I think Regidrago can be an absolute problem. I think this thing is really, really cool. I think Regidrago is nice. It can do quite a bit. While the moveset isn't exactly as diverse as most other dragons, the moves that it does get is very much damaging. So this thing can do a lot of good damage very, very quickly. But those are my picks for the best dragon types of Regulation F. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite dragon type is in Regulation F and who you are excited to use once this format comes out. I'm personally excited to use Raging Bolt. It's my favorite Paradox Pokemon of all time. I love Raging Bolt. I cannot wait to get on the same wave as pretty much more or less everybody else and use Raging Bolt too. So I think this is going to be so much fun to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know by leaving a like down below and maybe hitting that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. And I will see all of you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you all later. Okay, bye.